This conference will now be recorded.
All right, good evening. We'll start the meeting of the Town of Ennis for January 23rd, 2025 with a roll call of the council. Mrs. Selly? Here. Oh, sorry, we have one at the door. Mr. Way? Here. Mr. Nehan?
Present.
Mrs. Abernathy? Here. And Mr. Hardy?
Here.
All right, if we could all stand for the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item, there was a few claims that were submitted after last week's meeting.
I move to approve the claims.
I second.
Any discussion? We'll start with you, Commissioner Selly.
As far as what I've been doing, what's been going on, is that what you wanted to know? Or about
Vote on
the approval of the claims? What about, you just said she seconded it?
Yeah, but we need
Now we have to vote.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Hey,
Mr. Nehan?
Aye.
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 This approval of claims. Next is public comment on non-agenda items. This is a moment where the public may speak to any items not on the agenda. However, the commission is encouraged not to respond as it is not publicly noticed.
Nikki Hankins. I was wondering if we could get an update on the cross training up front, as that is one of the other things on the findings of the audit results. I understand there's only so much time in the day, but this needs to be a priority, as does the excessive PTO accrued. We need to get the help cross trained so the town is not blatantly violating Montana code. And it's another ongoing result unaddressed with the audit results. I would like to see the doors open to town hall open Monday through Friday 8 to 5. That's how it previously was, and you have help now that it should be open again 8 to 5. The previous excuse had been staffing. There are now 2 full-time employees up front, which allows the doors to be open, not closing for lunch or all day on Friday. Thank you.
Carla Smith. I just don't understand, I guess. When there's issues with signs not following codes and cars being parked on the street for extended periods of time, why does someone have to come in and file a written complaint for that? If code enforcement is the jobs of our employees, I'm not understanding why we keep getting told we have to come and file written complaints. It's the job to enforce the codes.
Brittany Hirsch. I would just like to make a comment to remind the commissioners and the mayor as you get ready to prepare for this next budget season that you approved the previous budget with accrued absences or compensated absences that go against Montana code, and it was very clearly stated outright in a public meeting, should be in public meeting minutes, that was approved and would be addressed at a later date, and it has not been up until this point. So I do believe that should be top of line for the next budget season. Thank you.
Second call for public comment on non-agenda items. Last call for public comment on non-agenda items. All right, on to our scheduled matters. The first item of business is the review of the scope of work for the growth policy with Great West Engineering. I see Kevin is on for Great West this evening. Welcome, Kevin. I guess you're here to answer any questions. So I contacted Jerry Grabentz as he was the lead on this. He unfortunately had to be in Plains this evening for subdivision. So Kevin has been briefed on our project, and we wanted to review the scope before we formalized a task order contract with Great West for next month.
Supposed to ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin, this is Commissioner Hardy. I guess after reading through this, you guys talk about doing a socioeconomic update. Can you kind of expound on to what extent you're going to, I guess, study that and generate that data?
Yeah, of course. So we're typically, when we're compiling our socioeconomic report, we're using Headwaters Economics to pull a lot of that information. They have a lot of census reporting tied up into some really good report formats like an Excel or PDF. And so really what we're going to analyze are going to be like the existing conditions mainly of uh, population, uh, we'll look at local services as well as uh, housing and infrastructure. And so we'll tie that all back in, and it'll kind of help us form goals and objectives for the town. So then when you get further along into other planning processes, you can look back at the growth policy and use it as a guiding document to help other decision making efforts for planning. Does that kind of answer your question a little bit?
Yeah, ultimately, I guess maybe how much of the grant is going to be expended on that portion. That might be a little too specific, but
That's a good question without seeing our like project management plan, and I don't know if Jerry has put one together yet because occasionally it'll fluctuate depending on the grant amount. But usually we kind of tie it also into the full edits of our documents. So usually we budget maybe for like 56 to 60 hours of actually editing and working on the document, and it's kind of tied in there. So we could break it out a little bit further. We've done it in the past on our scope of work where we've actually broken out the hours, and we've recently gotten away with from that a little bit. So we could definitely get the commission more of like a detailed breakdown of the hours for each step of the way, if that's requested.
sure, no, not necessarily, but I'm assuming that's an essential ingredient required regardless. So it has to be done, correct?
It is. There's a lot of state statute requirements that we have to meet that involves updating the socioeconomic data and then the GIS mapping on top of that kind of falls into place where we're trying to get away from doing as much like more writing, and we're trying to graphically show a lot of the data, and so it kind of all ties together. So it's mainly to meet the state statute.
Thank you.
Yep.
So I move to approve the scope of work for the growth policy with Great West Engineering.
I second.
Is there any public comment? Second call. Last call for public comment. All right, discussion. It looked comprehensive and
Yeah.
as to what needed to be updated in my mind. But I've never done a growth policy, so.
And keep in mind, this is Jim Diane, that there are some state requirements as to what the whole process requires. And we had that conversation with Jerry and Kevin, and obviously we'll make sure that those are all there and complied with.
Any further discussion?
No.
Mr. Way then?
Yeah.
Mr. Nihon?
Yes.
Aye.
All right, then we'll get together and finalize that for contract. Next was the resolution for a budget change that we talked about at last week's meeting. That's 609-2025. The budget change to clarify the funds for contract with Montana League.
I move to approve resolution 609.
I second.
Public comment?
Brittany Hirsch, I'm just curious why this comes before the approval of the contract. Maybe I'm overseeing something, but if it has not been voted on and approved, does it make sense to do one before the other?
I mean,
I think the resolution is because that we determined at the last meeting, the amount was not budgeted for in this particular fund. So we're making an amendment to the budget to allow for this line item to be paid for.
No, I understand. I understand what you're saying. You're approving an amendment to the budget, but you're approving the reason for the amendment to the budget.
yeah, we could have took them.
We could have done it the other way around, but it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, if you're all gonna go yes, we know that ahead of time.
Second. Sorry. If you are going to speak, please go to the mic. So second call for public comment on resolution 609-2025. Last call for public comment on resolution 609-2025. Commission discussion.
I had a question on where we were pulling some of the funds. So we had discussed moving the 500, the 650 and the 1500, but the movement of 675 from the water and then another 675 from sewer.
Correct.
How does that leave that budget? I mean, that department was already over budget.
In professional services.
Well, as a whole, that department was already over budget. So we're pulling more money from their budget so that they'll be under budget now? Under what they need?
No. I talked to Eric on it,
Mm-hmm.
and him and I went over what he had, and he had ample funds in there.
Okay.
There's enough in the budget, to more than cover it.
What? No, that's not my question. I was for the water and sewer department, we're not leaving them short.
No.
Okay.
No, Eric did approve it.
Okay.
Yeah, we went over what he had on those line items in his budget.
Yeah, this was the part that was left to the question where we were going to get the funds to make up the difference. And so these two numbers are new. We didn't discuss last time. So as long as Eric is not going to go over budget in that particular line, it should be fine.
Any other discussion? All right,
Seems pretty straightforward.
Mrs. Abernathy, I guess you're up.
Yeah, I,
I
I,
forget Jim.
don't forget Jim.
Oh, sorry, Jim.
Aye.
I'll get back on my rotation. All right, next item, Mr. Hardy asked to have ad hoc resort tax group for discussion and a vote.
I thought we decided last time that we weren't going to make it a public group of this body, which is then required for, public meeting rules and MAPPA and all those fun things you got to follow.
Minutes, and that's when you said that you would like to have a club, and we kind of think it was left up in the air if I understood it right. So what do we call it? So,
What would the title be? I guess I'm still confused.
well, I mean, I don't know. I remember what John's talking about. I think I know what he's talking about, when it was kind of just up in the air.
I think the question is, if it is a group approved by this board and you are running it, then it falls under a public hearing, public notice, right? Isn't that what we discussed last time?
Yeah, but that's
That's
actually
what
what you were trying to get away from. You're trying to get a brainstorm. I remember Nikki was saying she was trying to get kind of a brainstorming, like, where you can talk and I guess have some freedom to throw out ideas to each other and just, that kind of thing without it being so formal. It's got to take minutes and, you got to get things started before you can even bring them in front of many times the public.
Right.
To know what we're talking about and what we're doing. I don't know the process on this, but that's just my 2 cents on it.
So could we vote this down and then I basically go back to publicly claiming that I'm starting a club?
I think we table it because at some point the club needs to be
If you,
formalized into a real group. Hopefully, maybe if you get that far.
Yeah.
And at this point, I don't think it's that far, but if we table it, we can bring it back up.
Okay, that's last time. Yeah. Okay. I move to, unless we wanted to discuss this, there is more
I
discussion.
have a quick comment, Corey.
Yes, sir.
I think that we need to be very careful because if I'm not mistaken, at the last meeting, I believe there were 3 commissioners that expressed interest of being involved in this. And just be careful about not violating the quorum regulations. It can obviously get a little bit tricky depending upon the conversations you're going to have.
Absolutely, Jim. I've had a couple other community members express interest, and I basically suggested what Tony Treglia had mentioned in our last meeting, that I was intentions were to keep it small initially until we actually do formalize the group. So
Thank you. I appreciate that. I just wanted to bring it to your attention so we don't find ourselves going down a path that's in any violation of what our code is.
agreed. I move to table the ad hoc resort tax group.
I'll second that.
No second is required, no votes required, I don't believe.
Yeah.
All right, so on to contract with Montana League of Cities and Towns for clerk services.
I move we approve the MLCT contract as written.
I'll second.
Public comment? Second call for public comment. Last call for public comment. Discussion?
only thing I would like to see in this differently is I would like to see more of a, you know, not just working with Ginger, but with everybody in the front office to kind of pass that knowledge around. And I don't see that outlined here or talked about much. I'm afraid that you know, we're bringing up a great new clerk in training, and this might be a good opportunity for her to gain some insight and knowledge, and we're paying for it. Let's get everything we can out of it.
I definitely agree with that. If that's we have to close town hall potentially to do some training. I mean, just throwing it out there for discussion.
I would like, I don't know if it's proper or not, if we can have verbiage added to the contract, that, was it Jody and Jody? Prepare, a written statement to this board that they believe the training is complete and there is complete understanding, of our clerk. What, on, you know, doing the bank reconciliations, if that's the biggest issue. I just want some kind of report card, that we are assured that, you know, our people now understand how to do what needs to be done, and we won't have the same issue rearing its ugly head again.
Which I think that is.
Will you turn yours?
I think that is actually part of it, but I will check with them in that, and
I mean, if they want to do a verbal, if they want to come to a meeting, that's fine, but I think a written statement is fine.
is okay.
Yeah. I don't think we
Okay.
need to have them stay after hours and run up our bill. Just a written statement would be fine. Hopefully in that statement, we have a, you know, an idea of what was taught, and how they feel that, you know, the clerks absorb that information, and a grade on whether they believe that the work can be done by the current staff.
Is that in the form of a amendment?
Well, Ginger just stated that she believes that a report is already in the contract. I didn't see verbiage to that, but if it's an understanding that it will be done, I'm okay with that.
And I mean, I can speak to them and get that in writing.
Okay.
Further discussion?
No, that was just my one concern.
Where am I at? Can't remember where I'm at. It's actually Mr. Nehan for the vote.
Aye.
Aye.
I
Aye.
Mr. Way? Did you say aye or no?
Oh, I did.
Okay.
Oh, were you
I'm
waiting on
sorry.
me?
I'm like, did I not
No.
hear you? Okay.
No, I did. And I was on to the next thing. I was.
Yeah, I thought you were thinking about.
No.
Yeah, okay.
So the next is the contract for auditor services. There are two included in your packet. We reached out to several, and Denning was the next closest for pricing. So that is for a non-federal audit and a 3-year package. After receiving that, I had Ginger reach back out to Olness and Associates to see if they were still available as well, and Kirk said yes. Also, if there was a contract signed before the end of January, that he would still be able to fit us in as well. So either one of those auditors are available for us.
And almost, was it 24/5?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And the other one's at 49, 47.5?
Yes. And non-federal is what we need this year, as we don't have any funds over 750,000 federal funds.
Do you know why the two are so far apart?
No, Mitch.
Do I quote the?
Looking at, they've had some out on listserv too
My
of
bet it was just
different ones, and they're kind of all over the board. Again, I guess going with Olness being one of the lower, even towns our size, some of them are up as high as 65,000.
Oh yeah, I get that. Audits are expensive. I'm just,
Is there a motion on the table?
Not that, I don't think so.
I move to approve contract for auditor services for discussion purposes.
I'll second it.
Public comment.
Nikki Hankins. The town has been using Olness and Associates for over 12 years, and I realize that they are not in charge of us implementing changes for better audit results, but I think change is necessary. The price is almost double, but will a new company insist that on compliance with state and federal regulations, or does that fall on our local government? Do we add an ordinance so the commission is involved and can attempt to correct the problems? As an ex-commissioner, we were forced to bring up the audit and then told it's sitting on the table in the office, but never discussed as a group. Last year, we pushed for the discussion of the findings to be added to the agenda, but I still don't see any changes implemented, which is difficult for the commissioners to address because some of the issues are employee errors, which fall under the mayor or HR to address. When the town is not compliant on that many issues, this needs to be brought up in public meetings and corrected immediately. The public's right to know and transparency are the most important matters, and you should all be addressing the problems and insisting on doing right by the citizens.
What do we have? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Brittany Hirsch. The town has been using the same auditor for over a decade. While that comes with convenience and it comes with familiarity, sometimes I wonder if it comes with oversight. The 2023 audit was the first audit that I could see in records that I've looked at that noted the overcompensated absences that are against Montana code law. Although it's been an ongoing issue for more than several years that I've looked at, but it was never mentioned on the audit. And I do believe that that may be because the auditor firm has new staff possibly that's why. Possibly it's because there's been citizens bringing this to the forefront and talking about it over and over and over, that the town is breaking the law by allowing a single employee to hold more than double what is allowed by Montana code. I do believe that last year, the audit budget or quote that was given was supposed to be around $13,000 for Olness, and it came in close to 20,000. So that's around 46%, if I'm doing my math right, higher than what they quoted, which if their quote of 24,500 comes in 46% higher next year, you're looking at 35,000. So you're expecting to spend, an X amount of dollars, and then because they come in and they see the disastrous mess that the books are at the town, it costs more than what anyone is expecting. So I think that's something that needs to be taken into consideration, whether you're going with a more expensive firm or not. I also would like consideration to be given on this $47,000 quote, if what they looked at. Did they look at the books? Did they say, whoa, there hasn't been any reconciliations clear on the books for multiple years? That's going to be a nightmare. And that's why their number is that high. I think that really should be considered if it has not already. And I also would like to note that on the audit for 2023, it did mention, let me find it again, please, if you don't mind holding. It mentioned that the town, for excess vacation leave, and this is for the audit on fiscal year ending to June 30th, 2023. This is the first audit I could find excess vacation leave on it, and it does say that the condition is, during review of leave balances, we noticed 2 employees had accumulated vacation leave over the statutory limit that was not used or forfeited within 90 days of the last day of the calendar year. That's Montana law. The cause is procedures are not in place to monitor timely usage of excessive leave. May that be management, whatever that looks like. There's no one monitoring or holding people accountable to follow policy and, frankly, Montana law. The effect of this audit finding is that the compensated absence liability is overstated. And this is where it's important. Employees, through termination, so getting fired, or taking leave, may be paid for leave that they are not entitled to, and non-compliance with state law is there. Thank you.
Brittany, do you mind reading that last part again for me?
I'm reading this verbatim from the audit, which was performed by Olness and Associates. So they say the condition, in layman's terms, is too much time off or vacation or PTO is on the payroll. The cause is procedures are not in place. The effect is that compensated absence liability is overstated. Employees, through termination or taking leave, may be paid for leave they are not entitled to, and non-compliance with state law. Recommendation: a procedure should be developed to monitor excess leave usage. Unused excess leave should be managed in accordance with state law. Response from the town: the town is aware that employees have exceeded the maximum vacation time allowed, as cited in MCA 2-18-6171A. As the town is understaffed, vacation leave for one employee has not been possible. The employee submitted a request for vacation but was denied due to tasks, some with deadlines having to be accomplished, as well as the workload the town, the town also does not have another qualified employee to continue with daily, weekly, and monthly tasks. The town is actively seeking a qualified employee to fill this void.
Last, last call for public comment. All right, discussion.
What do we have budgeted for this audit?
We had the original number of illness for 24, 25 under our professional.
And that's what,
They're at 25, the other one's at 48,
47 or?
47.5. But there's also a lot in there that's not included in the net number. They will have to prepare the financial statements because I doubt the Olness has done it every year.
Mhm.
So we don't have staff here that knows how to prepare a GASB financial statement.
To go through the
be
gas,
audited. Yeah.
to go through the gas base for
Right.
296.
Well, do you think if
And
they
last
did
year
the
they did
same
our
people-
OPEB as well.
Yeah. That's also not included.
But Ginger,
OPEB is done.
OPEB is done.
Oh, okay.
Jody actually ran Ginger through that this time on state site, and Ginger learned how to do that. So
Well, I'm just comparing the two different proposals that you have. One, Olness is very short, and they actually just sent you a engagement letter, assuming they were going to get the account. The other one is an actual proposal where they are stating that the things that they will do, and they've listed things that are not included in the estimate amount that they will do, but it will cost more. My experience is you cannot do a financial statement audit without a financial statement, and a profit and loss and balance sheet is not a financial statement. There's a lot more that goes into a financial statement. Financial statements have disclosures that are listed in a formal way. And in my experience, very few companies and towns have that experience to be able to put together a financial statement. So just for the commission's information and to have it in the back of your mind, if you decided to go with this other proposal, it's going to be more than 47.5.
But is it worth it? I guess, and that comes into the budget, but the complaints I was hearing is that we've had the same people doing it for the same amount of, repeated, and maybe it's not getting fixed. And I guess what I was seeing is that maybe they're thinking of a new set of eyes. Is it worth that? Because sometimes, you know how that is. You're looking at the same thing, you're reading your same report over and over, you're making typos or you're mispronouncing words, and then somebody else comes along and goes, oh, And
Well, the audit, the auditors have to be independent. They cannot have any kind of personal interest in this town whatsoever. And they sign off to that effect. That also, in my experience, audits go through several proofing and procedural reviews before it is listed. That's why it takes so long to get it done.
I was just wondering if you felt comfortable with what they.
I do understand what you're saying, that, if it's the same auditors, have they sent the same auditors each time, staff?
yes,
Yeah. Yes, you do get muscle memory.
Well, you did the same thing. So, and you come back and hey, there was a problem last time, and I remember seeing that, and yeah, so that's why I was just wondering, since this is what you're into, is what you thought.
No, there is some muscle memory issues related to that, and that should be the supervisor's job to ensure that that's not happening.
Yeah.
I can't say if it's being done or not. I don't know their internal control related to their audit procedures, so I can't speak to that. I understand your issue. I was thinking the same thing. But as far as the audit goes, the auditor issues the report. They cannot make recommendations on how to fix it. That's the town's job.
They just tell us this is black and
They
white.
just
what it
tell you
is,
what's
and-
wrong.
Yeah, and then we got to fix it.
Yeah. And actually, it should get to a point where the auditor, if they're seeing the same issue over and over again, they should not be presenting you with a proposal because they know you're not going to fix it. And that's part of the audit procedure, is to have management on board to fixing things. So honestly, they should be denying you even a proposal, in my honest opinion. I'm not saying they're doing anything wrong. I'm just saying that, you know, when you don't have management on board, that's part of the audit procedure. And if management is not going to work with the auditors, there's no sense in doing an audit. So that's all I have to say. I just wanted to warn you that the new proposal that we got for 47.5 explicitly states that they have not included preparing the financial statements, which Ennis has been doing. So they've underestimated already, is what I'm saying. We're probably looking over 50 grand. Yeah, for that one.
Yeah, it says our proposal assumes that financial statements are complete and in balance. The usual problems, unusual problems will not be encountered during the audit.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I mean, Corey knows this. I mean, you go in there and you go putting up sheetrock, and then they say, oh, I want to have tongue and groove on that wall, or I want this. Can you take that off? Can you replace it? Or can you add tongue and groove in here, or sheetrock in here? I didn't plan on doing that. Or we want fire rock, and you know, I mean, sometimes you don't know. I mean, you get into something, a job, and there's hidden cost in it. So these hidden costs, what is the budget allowed for on this audit? Did you ask that a minute ago?
24,000 is what's in the budget
24,000.
line for this. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So in the proposal that we received from, was it Dennings?
Mm-hmm.
The following services are not included in the audit of the financial statement, but can be provided at additional fee. Audit of a component unit. Preparation of financials in accordance with GASB 34. Prepare of CEFA or data collection form. I don't know what that is, if we even need it. Year-end closing assistance, including adjustments. Fraud-related services.
So I guess just for discussion's sake, years ago, I actually did a job for an accountant, and I did an estimate for her actually, and was seeking advice for the town, I guess. And I'm just curious what your stance is as an accountant. Would you be able to, are you willing to assist with that? That's
I
kind of
think
lot of
that's a conflict of
responsibility.
interest. I should not be preparing financial statements.
She can't. She's an employee of the town.
Yeah.
You probably can't even oversee it or comment or anything on it, can you? Okay.
Nothing.
One other question, a training that I went to discussing audits, I believe they said you should rotate auditors every 8 years. Is that?
But it's prudent. Yeah, especially with a governmental entity that's, you know, the books are open to the public. And you've got the same auditor coming in over and over again telling you you've got the same issues, but not, like I said, not pointing out, either being when they were approached to do this again, coming here, I would have physically come here and said, I'm willing to do this, but I have to have your cooperation. I cannot keep doing the same audit with the same issues. That negates the reason for an audit. You're not making the changes that need to be made. So Ennis, to me, and with most things, you know, in life, you find you're going to pay a premium for a good job. So I question whether it's going to be twice the amount that we've paid in the past. But with a new auditor, you are bringing in new eyes. that has to do a little bit more
Over
footwork to get started. Yeah.
over twice the amount.
It's a conundrum. I have not been involved with an audit, even on a small company, that was less than $50,000, and that was 10 years ago. It's been over 10 years.
Commissioner Abernathy's comments, when you have consistent issues or you have something that has been brought up on an audit, for someone to want to even put their name on a future audit, if they have not seen a serious approach to repairing the problems that have been brought to light, then a responsible auditor is just, or any business person is going to, at some point, yield and say, I'm sorry, I can't help you. I can't provide you with an estimate or a quote because you obviously are not taking our recommendations or whatever information we're sharing with you seriously. And we need to move on because we can't have our name on this audit if it's not taken to the level of seriousness that's required. And secondly, I don't think that we should be putting Commissioner Abernathy in any type of situation that, or any type of relationship that would cause her to be in conflict as both a commissioner and an employee of the town. So,
Well, the financials fall under the mayor's personnel, which we are not. We don't have any authority over. So that's why I said it's a conflict. I can't do that because that's your department.
Well, and there are parts of it, like the corrective action, as soon as we got this, that's when we started talking with Jody.
Mhm.
So now we're finally getting that through to that stage, so to say, that we didn't take any of their recommendations, because that was Ernie's, when he was here, first priority was the cash reconciliation.
Mhm.
So that was the first one that I took a look at. And we've already started on the compensated absences and have a report for you for an agenda item for next month, since I pulled up the quarterlies, so that it is being
So last time
addressed.
when they came in, the bank rec wasn't done. So they had to do a bank rec,
Part
an
of it's
off-book bank rec, so that they could get the financials
Mhm.
done. So we
is
paid for
this
that.
23,000?
So
Is
we're
this
having,
23?
what I'm leaning to is we might save time, auditor time, because with Jody and Jody coming in, the bank rec will be done before the audit starts.
correct.
So we'll save a chunk of time there.
This appears to be about $23,000 outside of what was budgeted. Is that correct?
Correct. Possibly more.
Right. But at least 23,000.
Yeah, Olness will, obviously Olness was a lot more last year.
And what is available in the budget to be able to make up for that additional cost?
Do we need to have a work session to go over budget lines that we can pull from?
We have till the end of the month to approve this.
Which is next Friday or Thursday.
There's over $10,000 in compensated absences, which I am touching on my public comment again. Over 10,000.
Not at the,
There's over $10,000 in compensated absences over budgeted in the budget, if you're looking for places to pull things.
Thank you. I think we need to have a work session.
Sounds like it to me.
We have to figure out our budget first.
You're already in deficit.
I know.
And we have to make this decision by the end of the month on which company to go with.
Next week, yeah. The alternative is, you know, we decide to go with the more expensive one and address the budget afterwards with the caveat that it has to be figured out. There's going to be cuts made somewhere.
Mhm.
Is it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just concerned. We need to take this very serious, as I know everyone is, but we're talking at least $23,000. We need to make sure that we have the ability to encumber these funds to be able to balance our budget.
Jim, I'm gonna guess it's gonna be closer to 30.
I understand. And that's my point. Thank you. And that's my point about making sure that we are looking at the entire budget and finding that we are not going to do any harm to the budget or any of town properties or anything, but that we can find the funds to be able to make this work, because obviously it's important, it's required, and we need to do it. But we need to make sure that we have the funds to be able to do it, and we need to find them. So I don't know if it's a working session or what it should be, but I'll leave that up to the rest of the commission. But we need to do something.
I think we're spending more money by just wasting time trying to continue to fix this leaking hole in the bucket. And we really do have to get to the bottom of it, get the answers for the public, for ourselves, get it over with. We can move on to something else. We will not have a town, from what I understand, if we don't comply by Montana law. So we've got to get this stuff fixed. We don't have a choice. We're going to have to find the money. It's just a matter of which company do we go with.
There's already an issue with the budget.
Yeah. So, I mean, you know, we're going to have to do it. I mean, it's just, which the lesser of two evils do you really want? Do you want to go back with somebody that you know and you've had in the past and you've used and you think they have some knowledge of what's going on? Or do you feel like they're not doing a competent job and we need to get someone else in and pay a little more and, you know?
I think a work session's fine. And be happy to do that. I think there's money in the budget. When we approved the budget, we approved 3 times actuals on almost everything, which still to this day, I don't understand.
I agree, but my issue is I don't understand why those numbers were tripled. If it is an actual increase or it's just a guesstimation that's out of control. If it's an actual, then as Jim said, we are robbing Peter to pay Paul, and then Peter, we're gonna have to find money for. So I'm in agreement with Jim there that I don't want to get into a position where we have pulled budget funds from areas that actually needed that money, and now we're at a crossroads again that we can't figure out. So the budget overall needs work.
Oh, absolutely.
I need to be assured that the numbers in the budget, first of all, are true and accurate estimations of what is needed in each department. And if it's not, then that's in our favor. Then we can make those changes.
Yeah, and I think that the second is more accurate here.
Yeah.
And I hope so, because we don't want to find ourselves in a situation 3 months from now where we have to go back and revisit other line items because we didn't figure this out correctly this time. So that's why the working session is very important, and to really understand the numbers better. And I think we're at the point in the budget that we should be able to figure out what it will take to basically exhaust this budget, and actually have it so that it's accurate and that it's able to take us through the end of the year without needing to do this process a second or a third time.
So we should table this until we've assured ourselves that we have the funds.
Can you ask the auditing companies for an extension on their deadline?
I think it's a state deadline.
So all federal audits are to be done before March, and the other ones are to be in by June.
Ginger, just following up from last week, Did we apply for the extension on the audit?
I have that
Oh, you
like
have it?
about half filled out.
Oh, okay.
Right. So yeah, Nikki's got that.
What date does it extend us
I
to?
was kind of waiting till we had an auditor's schedule or, when they were
Because
going
if
to
they're
be
going to
coming.
complete it before the extension, then we wouldn't need the extension.
I thought we discussed last week we would go ahead and do the extension because even if they get started and that their timeline gets extended because they find something that they can't get through, we're on the border again of.
Actually, you mentioned last time, you said, let's just go ahead and file that, sort of like a tax extension for a personal tax return. You said, let's just file it, so in case we don't get it, but if we do get it, it's okay. That's what you said. Anyway.
But part of it, if I remember when I looked at that application,
You have to have a reason.
Well, a reason and a proposed date.
Oh,
of when
proposed date?
A proposed date of when it's
What's
going
the
to
latest
be
we can go? How far?
completed.
They asked for the estimated date of your audit. So with Kirk, it was going to be around April, and same with Denny. But so I guess I could.
Please keep in mind.
Is there
Please keep in mind that they're certified public accountants as well. Most of them that are doing audits are also accountants, and they're very busy. This is their peak season, and that they have many responsibilities. And if we don't get this done soon enough, we could lose many of these estimates that you have if we don't get this done quickly. We don't want to take that risk.
So but just to clarify, Jim, I'm not trying to postpone this so that we can take a month to get the budget done. I'm not suggesting that. I'm just trying to figure out, like with tax extensions, you get 6 months, you get a date. You have to have it done by October 15th. Do you wait till October 15th to do it? No. And that's basically what I'm asking. Is there a drop dead deadline for the state to have it in their hands?
And I want to be clear, I wasn't being critical. I was just pointing out that we need to be very careful. We have obviously more than one quote, and we don't want to box ourselves into a corner. And I personally think that you file for the extension. I always file for one early for my company. And I think it's just a prudent thing to do. And if I get everything done on time, then I'm able to pass it in on time. The extension does nothing more but to allow you for time if something actually goes wrong.
If something unexpected comes up, yeah. That's my concern is, especially if we're deciding on a new auditor, they might get in here and go, well, we need another week. And then we've put a number or a date on there and now we're stuck.
So, how about if I call the state again and query them more on the extension?
Okay.
I do have to be out tomorrow, but I can do it first thing Monday, or I can even shoot off our representative an email tonight.
I'd appreciate it. Yeah, the sooner we get an answer, the better it will help us during our work session.
But we still have to have the work session next week because we have to make a decision by the end of the month.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we need to do a work session and a public meeting session.
Correct. Friday's the 31st, John.
Yep. So should we table this until our work session is complete?
I think that's it.
I move to table the decision on a town auditor.
Okay. So the only way to make that work would be to do, honestly, work session on Tuesday and then a meeting on Thursday so that
we have the time.
Friday morning you could still get it to them. Whoever
Or
you
if
chose.
they put their numbers together at the work session, you could have a regular.
But if there's a budget amendment to make it work, then you wouldn't have that prepared ahead of time. So
yeah.
So you would have to
balance
do
So
a
we'd still have to
Tuesday.
have a public meeting.
Well, even if we had a budget amendment, that could come after the approval of we could figure out where we're gonna pull the money from, approve the contract, and then do
That's true.
the budget amendment to move it in a
Move things
different
around.
bucket.
I agree.
Okay.
So
It's
what
good
night do you
thought.
want to meet for work session and approval?
Tuesday, Thursday, fine with me.
Yeah.
If that's what everybody's suggesting.
I just looked at
I'm
those
free.
around me too.
At 6:15.
Which night do you want to do it?
Unless you want to do it earlier. I don't know if 5
I can-
o'clock works for everyone to get an early start on it.
For the work session.
Yeah, whenever it works for me.
Which night? Pick your night.
Tuesday?
Oh,
Tuesday.
I'm good for
Is that what
Tuesday.
you?
Are
What?
we doing?
Sorry, Mr. Newham.
I'm good for Tuesday, Mayor Huss.
So Tuesday's the work session at 5, and then Thursday we'll have the public meeting at 6:15. Okay.
Yes.
Public meeting policy. So that was like a revisit. It was lengthy. At some point, I wanted to have something that we could actually put at the end of an agenda. This was adopted and looked at in 22 or in 2022. And it's after some recommendation from multiple people.
So this one has been adopted already?
It was posted at the door in 22.
I'm sorry. What? I know, I'm just wondering, so you said it's already been adopted, but you're looking maybe for changes or updates for it? Okay.
Correct. And this can be a work session item if you would like,
Yeah.
or you send me.
Yeah, I was under the impression that this was brand new and we had to.
No, it's old.
Oh,
And
so you're
it's-
looking for updates or?
It would
already
like to
updated?
be compressed enough to be easily added to an agenda or easily, it's not quickly palatable, I
No.
guess, is a way of saying that. It does make expectations clear.
It does, but yeah. I say we table this, and I think all of us can kind of read through this and make some notes, and I mean, it
Do some research.
might be a quick discussion item on a work session to shape it up to where we want it now.
Sounds good.
And I would recommend that maybe members of the commission look at what other cities and towns are using and maybe use it as a template. And I think that you'll find also something on the state website as to some guidance here.
And there's also one in the 3rd edition.
There is, I
Yeah.
looked because the public has questioned, I guess, why, and why they're limited on what they're being said and all. And most towns do have some form of regulations for the procedures, so you're not there till midnight, or, it's not really a matter of time necessarily, but it is in a certain way. I mean, you have to continue to keep things going, and you can get caught up in a lot of talking. I can, for sure. So to keep y'all from being here all night, I think that's why you really do need certain procedures and guidelines, and this is what you follow. And so I think we need that.
All right, so add that for table and rework it to something smaller. You can table it.
I think we're just gonna make a motion to table for now, correct?
Yeah.
Correct.
I'll move the table.
Right, onto unscheduled matters. Anything else for work session? But I think we have 2 primaries and then we were gonna schedule another work session anyway after that. Start going through our list of the year. All right. To adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
I second.
Aye.
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 See you Tuesday.
Thank you all. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
Travel safe, Jim.
Thank you. Be safe.
And guys, just so you know, our engineer is Great West. I spent a couple days at the Capitol with him on testifying on these. They're pretty sharp. They're pretty good at what they do. And you know, I'm not as familiar with this stuff on all the particulars of the project, and they got me up. I mean, I have
Are they
that
good?
many pages of notes
Are
from
they
them.
good communicators? They can,
Their communication's on point.
I mean, they can bring their jargon down to my
Yes.
level.
Well, and I was the one that had to testify, so I had to know it.
Know it, yeah.
And
Do you have a recording of it?
what's that?
Do you have a recording of it?
It's on this. All the testimony is.
Just on YouTube.
That's how they got the one for the paper. They took it off the recording. They just screenshotted it off the recording. But yeah, whatever we're paying Great West,
Worth
I'm
it.
a pretty big fan of them. I spent a couple days with them.
They are Colette, our wastewater treatment. She's $190 an hour.
Oh, is she?
Oh yeah, 192 maybe.
She's worth every penny of that. Let me tell you.
You ready for this club?
Is that typical? I guess so.
I was asking Justin tonight how your meeting, he's like, there might be a guy running in the background and they let him chime in. The clean, the janitor. That was nice.
Thank you.
People that's doing that, but it's also the same as volunteering for everything else. And so when I volunteer, so you did ask, you said last meeting you asked 3 times when you told that here, you got on the phone immediately. Probably if I was doing this, I'm just going to say, somebody else is in town, right over and told.
I've never been to one of those. I was like,
Yes, and a lot of houses, and I go to them, and
He
it's
said-
about 3 miles or whatever. But I still live in this
said,
one, so you asked me that, I thought about it earlier.
No,
He said that,
But, you know, people ask, I don't mind.
There's a lot of stuff.
I agree, I got that. Agree,
he was hanging out there for can't be here. They're just like, can't be. They can, he didn't like their, I don't know that he didn't like it, he just thought it was great. We need one. Sure. Well, then go to the one. I don't know. I've never. They're gonna give you help. Of course you should get it. What are
Yeah. But that's, I mean, when I was at six, senior day. Well, if I had to do it, but like, would you do this? Because the underlying thing is, you're asking us for $500,000. You could have got, that was the underlying. But they actually have. And I said, we're currently.
So you tell me where at in Madison County, we're generating,
I thought that was funny. Both times, you know, you're up there for half an hour. That was it.
Sure. And I think one thing we all. I think one thing. Sure. And just so you know, I'm not a big,
No, I'm not there. Sunday.
I don't want to pay another street.
There's a tip structure. Sure. What's that?
I want to bring him on.
Monday was Earl Down, right? And today was one of our. But today.
Fair enough. I'm like, he shut me down immediately.
No, they have one.
And I know, and I'm not a very good debater. I'll say my homework.
It's not.
I went into this training because it
Didn't show up.
super. How hard can it be? Just cut and dry. Throwing sheet rock.
No.
Yeah. The number of things that I could come up with.
Don't even know. It's not.
Although it made me a very critical.
Yeah.
We're working with an architect right now.
Maybe.
Leaving them up.
Right, so how did you come up with this?
Drywall. But he didn't have a cross hatching of it or anything like that. So I'm just looking at yeah, we'll need, we're gonna need, no, I mean, we gotta go around and talk about all our Yeah, yeah, no, I'm totally with you. I think yeah, I've been talking about it for years. It's a liability. We have to yeah, well, what's your research is, I have, upcoming events next week. I don't, I'm horrible at it. I'm like, yeah, I like when I go out, I'm like, give me a beer. I'm like, good. I'm gonna turn my phone. Oh yeah. I'm hoping you guys come back and say that nobody. Yeah. Yeah, no, you just, especially like winter time stuff like that. Right after. Sorry to throw you into the wolves earlier, Ben. All right. See you, pal. Thank you. I was like, the cow. Well, but I mean, you say yeah. Yeah. See, the door's still open, shut up, you know. Because I didn't see right now. That's why. I looked around the freaking room and I counted heads. Yeah. Then I went for one. No. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know how it happened, but somehow. Yeah. I looked around the room and I saw you two. Yeah. And I didn't like that version all of a sudden. I thought it was coming. But like I was telling Rich, on both testimonies for both grants that I did this week, they asked me the same question, and it was, does your town have a resort tax, and why not? Because the underlying theme was, you could have paid for this yourself. Yeah. That was the underlying theme.
They don't have.
No, I had the budget numbers and all that, the mills and, you know, general. But that was the follow-up question. That was the next question. Should be a stipulation.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And a lot of other stipulations can't be used for overtime.
Yeah.
General fund wages or health insurance or.
But Senator Hess.
Where is that? Did you guys ever hear from?
No, it's terminated.
He's still there.
Oh, he's still there?
Yeah.
Well, he only got one speeding ticket last month.
You're somewhere.
He's gotta be somewhere, here or over the school.
Or is it?
Well, I don't.
You're not either. What's the problem? Well, they're. Right? He drafted that policy, that motion, was it approved? Is there? Just hold on, let me see.
Whoever it is, our lawyer, go make the deal. Make the best deal you can. I mean, whittle them down and negotiate. It's an add-on charge. So now. No, I don't. Yeah, like. Is that a number that you heard? That's like, no, we're not. Yeah.
And I was reading through it, I'm like,
Well, I expect to see like a red line. Yeah.
Ad hoc. So the definition of ad hoc is just a group that gets.
okay, so it doesn't mean, okay, oh, yeah, okay. It shouldn't be.
No, I think.
I didn't know if it was somebody, corporation.
That's a great idea, though. No, but I forgot that we were gonna table it and then come up with we were gonna do a club. Yeah. I mean, what the hell, I could call it whatever